Alright, hey you guys, good morning. I know it's bright and early this Monday morning, but I just wanted to say hey, and this is what we're going to be doing for our lessons all week this week. So I'm going to be teaching you through video for reading, social studies, and ELA. So make sure you're paying close attention. I'm doing it this way because you really can't afford to not have me there to get teaching from me. So this is the best thing that I can come up with for you to get me teaching to you the material. So you'll be ready for progress assessments coming up in a week and a half, I think. So, but anyways, I just want to say congratulations to all those who participated in the science fair. And if you placed, that's even better. That's awesome. Super proud of you guys. All right. So for intervention today, y'all were supposed to read quietly and work on AR. If you have not finished your AR goal, y'all, you literally have a week and a half. The reason why I'm saying that is because they're going to start coming around and taking up computers for progress assessments because 3rd through 5th takes those assessments. So you need to make sure that you're meeting your AR goal, all right, for the rest of the day, and make sure you're listening to my videos and you're paying attention. All right, hey you guys, for the first thing you're going to do today is you're going to take a progress assessment. The one that we usually take on like Mondays, every Monday. So anyways, you're going to go into the computer lab, and it's going to be under, I think it says commas and POV week 5. You're going to take that. Make sure you try your best because I'm not there to reset it. So whatever you get the first time that you make, whatever you get your score, like the first time, whatever you make on it, that's going to be your score. So if you make a 50 on it, that's going to be a 50 for your 60%, count of 6% towards your grade. So I would make sure that I did my best on it and I didn't like play around or do something that I wasn't supposed to do, because you all are very smart and you should have this and it should not be a problem. All right. You won't have to enter a PIN, so just go ahead and log into School Study. Now, once you finish the test, okay, you will get on either typing.com and the password, don't forget, is 12345, or you will get on MobyMax and then do social studies section only because it reviews over social studies, okay? So don't ask to get on anything else. I know some of you will, but don't ask, okay? You're only going to take the progress assessment. It says week 5, and I've already sent it to you guys. Then you're going to either get on MobyMax or you can get on, that's number 3, typing.com, all right? By the way, I forgot to tell you one more thing. The rewind that. The progress assessment test that you're going to take this morning for week 5, let me say that again, week 5, okay, whatever the highest grade is, okay, you know how like I usually give you like $100, well, this time, instead of giving you $100, I'm going to up it to $200 because, one, I'm not there, so I really need to do like phenomenal on it, okay? So, you guys, she's going to take you to the computer lab. You're going to go to computer lab 1, by the way. That's near the library. All right, good luck and do your best, okay? Alright guys, so today in ELA, you guys are going to be learning about the perfect verb tense. I know that we've already learned about it, but there are some people that have been missing some questions on it, so I really want to review over it, especially before we take the progress assessment, because I know that they're going to have it on there. But so our learning target today is going to be we can form and use the perfect verb tense, okay? So we can perform and use the perfect verb tense. So like I had walked, I have walked, and I will have walked, all right? So I'm going to stop this video and then I'm going to take you to the learning target so you can actually see it. I'm still going to be talking, so you'll be able to hear me talk and explain everything. But so I want you guys to listen and make sure you're listening very close, because then you're going to get an activity to do, okay? So, and I'll talk to you in just a little bit. All right, bye. So here's the learning target that I was just talking to you about. And the learning target today that we're talking about is we can form and use the perfect verb tense. So like I had walked, I have walked, I will have walked. All right, so that's the learning target today. All right, so in the past, like in first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, you guys have already learned the past imperfect future tense. You have learned that past tense means it's already happened, and it usually ends with ed. And then in the present tense, you know that it's happening now, okay? And then when you were in the lower grades, you learned that if it was a singular subject, like the example down here where it says he walks, he is singular, meaning it's talking about one person, so we have to add an S to the verb walks, all right? You also learned about the plural subject, okay? So if it's a plural subject like dogs, that you would not add an S to the verb right here on walks, all right? And then you also learn about, look, that says present tense. That is not supposed to say present tense, by the way. That is supposed to say future tense. So I'm going to like mark that out for you guys because that's wrong. And I'm going to put future tense so that you guys know it is in the future tense. Because that was a mistake on here. So I'm really sorry about that. I just thought as I was teaching it to you guys. So that is the future tense. All right, so but in fifth grade, we're not really focusing on learning the verb tenses like we did in the younger grades. They actually want you to learn the perfect verb tenses, okay? And we know that there are 3 verb tenses. There's the past perfect tense, the present perfect tense, and then there's the future perfect tense. All right, so just to review over what we talked about before, the past tense happened before another past action or state of being, so obviously it happened in the past, right? And it's formed with the helping verb had. Okay, so you know this is really important that you need to know this, okay? The reason why is because a lot of times they're going to ask you to identify the verb tense. Is it past perfect, or is it present perfect, or is it future perfect tense? And the easiest way to do this is for you to know that it's going to use this helping verb. And I know that's like a horrible rectangle right there, but I wanted to make a point for you guys to understand that they have to use had, okay, for the past tense. Now that takes us to the present tense. The present tense, it began in the past and it may still be going on, but it's still happening, right? And it's formed with has, okay? So this is the only tense that uses has. And then this is the only tense that uses have. Those are very important for you to know. Okay, so you have had for the perfect past tense, and then for the present perfect tense, you use has and have. All right, so that brings us to the future perfect tense. All right, so the future perfect tense, you will only be looking majorly, it's going to tell you that it will have ended before a specific time or event in the future. All right, but the major keywords to look for are will have and shall have. All right, so these are the major key things to look for when you're having to identify if a sentence is in the past, in the present, or in the future. All right, so now we're going to go to the next slide, and here's the activity, one thing you're going to do today. So today you're going to get this flip-flop right here, and you're going to make sure that you only glue down under this rectangle right here. So only glue under this rectangle, all right? Then you're going to take your scissors, and you're going to cut this apart, and then you're going to cut this part right here, okay? So it's actually going to be a flip-flop. And then underneath it, you're going to write what I have for the present tense, what I have for the past tense, and what I have for the future tense, okay? The reason why I want you to do this is because when I tell you to take home your notebook and study, you're going to have this all to review, okay? So you'll be able to go over present tense, past tense, and future tense. All right, so what I want you to do now is you can pause the video here. That way you can actually look at it and copy it down into your notebook. The sub should be giving you the flip-flop, all right, for you to use, and I will see you guys in a few minutes. Guys, so after you finish the flip-flop, okay, because you're going to use that to do the rest of the activities the rest of the week, I want you to look at this part of the video, and what I want you to do, it says day 1, all right, and the sub will give you this paper. It has day 1 through day 4 on it, all right. Today we are only going to do day 1, so do not do any of the other days. Okay, does everybody hear me? Only do day 1. Everybody say, I will only do day, and then everybody say day 1. Day 1. All right. So the directions for here is what you're going to do, determine the underlined verb verbs are present perfect, past perfect, or future perfect tense. All right, so pause the video, and I want you to complete 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, telling me if it's present perfect, past perfect, or future perfect. All right, so pause the video right now, so you don't see the answers coming up, and that way you can do this. And I'll give you about 5-10 minutes. All right, so you should be done with this part, okay, because there's only 4 questions. So on this one, what you had to do is to identify if it was present perfect, past perfect, or future perfect tense. And for number 1, it says she has been walking for 15 minutes, okay? Because it has here, that's going to tell you that it is in the present perfect tense, right? Okay? Because in the present perfect tense, it uses has or have. Now, been walking is still a part of the verb, okay? But has is just the helping verb being used to tell us that it is in the present perfect tense. All right, number 2. Jesse had looked everywhere by the time the game was over. All right, keyword here is had, okay? Keyword there is had, and it tells you that is in the past perfect tense. We know it is in the past perfect tense because the past perfect tense can only use the word helping verb had. Right? Number 3, Sarah will have talked to her entire class by the time is over. By the time class is over. So will have is the key thing right here. Okay, will have or shall have. Because it says will have, it is in the future perfect tense. Okay? And number 4, when the boy counts to 100, I will have been hidden for 5 minutes. Again, here's will have, all right? Even though been and talked are underlined and they are still the verb, because it has will have, it tells us, again, that it is in the future perfect tense. All right, if you do not have these correct answers on your paper, please fix them now, okay? And I want to make sure that you glue this paper that Sub gave you into your notebook, right? Glue it into your notebook so that you can have it for day 2, day 3, and day 4, okay? All right, so that brings us to the next activity, what I want you guys to do. All right, so the Sub is going to give you a worksheet, and it says look out for the perfect verb tense, okay? So, and all I want you to do is answer questions 1 through 10. Only, everybody say only, okay? You're not going to go past 1 through 10. Only thing you're going to have to do here is identify the tense of the perfect verb in the following sentences. So the easiest thing to do would be to find the verb and then look at the word in front of it, okay, to help you to identify whether it's in the past perfect, present perfect, or in the future tense. All right, if you finish early, you may work on the story from the Rotten Red-Headed Older Brother. All right, that should have a capital B on it, by the way. And this should be in italics, but since I am not typing, I'm just going to underline it. All right. And you're going to tell the story from the brother's point of view rather than the sister's point of view. If you need to get the computer to hear the story, you may do that. But please take your time on this and make sure you get it correct. You can use your notebook to help you answer the questions. Only questions 1 through 10. Alright, so pause the video and then 10 minutes later you are going to go to the next slide and we're going to go over it. Alright, so pause it now. Alright guys, so you should have completed questions 1 through 10, and this should be glued into your Skywalker notebook, okay? So I'm using the pen color so I can make sure that I have it. You need to make sure that you have it glued in your, that should say your, in your Luke Skywalker writing notebook, okay? So now the next thing I want you to do is I want you to check your work as I'm going through with it. And I want you to make sure you can tell me if it's in the past perfect tense or the future perfect tense or present perfect tense. So I want to go over it. All right, number 1 says by the time the day was over, we had driven all over the animal preserve. So I told you guys earlier to look for the verb. The verb in this whole sentence is driven. However, the helping verb in front of the verb driven is had. So because that is had, we know that it's in the past perfect tense. Okay? Because had is the only perfect tense that uses past is the only perfect tense that uses had. All right, number 2. The birds have flown back and forth across the plains. Okay, because it says we know what the birds did. They've flown. Okay, so which means they fly. Okay, but it used the helping verb have in front of it. Because it used the helping verb have in front of it, that means that this is in the present perfect tense. All right, number 3. We will have walked for 2 hours by the time we get back to camp. Big key thing right there. You know the verb is walked, right? And it also uses the helping verb will and the helping verb have. Because it is using the helping verb will and the helping verb have, it has to be in the future tense. Because the future tense is the future perfect tense is the only tense that uses will or shall have or shall has or will has. So just remember that, okay? Number 4, after we had ridden through half of the park, we stopped to enjoy lunch. Ridden is the tense, okay, the actual verb tense. However, had is the helping verb in front of ridden. So because had is the helping verb, then we know that the past tense, it is using the past perfect tense, right? Because had is only used in the past tense. Number 5, we will have seen all the animals by the time night falls. Okay? Will have is your helping verb. Seen is your verb. Because it uses will have, we then know that it is in the future perfect tense. Okay, number 6, I had hoped that we would see more elephants. Okay? Had hoped. Hoped right there is your verb. Okay? Hoped is your verb. However, it uses had. Because it uses had, then we know it is in the past perfect tense. Okay, number 7, the giraffes have eaten all the leaves off the tallest trees. Have eaten. Eaten is your verb. Your helping verb is have, so it is in the present perfect tense. Because only in the present perfect tense does it use have or has in front of the verb. Alright? Number 8, after we get back home, I will have visited 3 countries in Africa. Visited is your verb. However, the helping verb used in front of visited is are will have. Okay? Future perfect tense tells us that in order for it to be future perfect tense, you have to use the helping verbs will have. Number 9, even though the days were long, I have enjoyed seeing the wilderness. All right, have enjoyed. Enjoyed seeing is a part of your verb. Okay? Have is in front of enjoyed. So because have is in front of enjoyed, it tells us it is in the present perfect tense. Number 10, by the time we arrive back at camp, I will have taken 100 pictures. Again, here it is. Taken is your actual verb, okay? But it has helping verbs in front of it. It has the helping verbs will and it has the helping verb have. Because it has will have, it is in the future perfect tense. Now, if you didn't correct these, you should have corrected these. If we were going over them, like if you missed one, you need to go back and fix it now. If you got them all correct, then I'm super proud of you. However, if you did not, I want you to pause the video. That way you can fix them because I want to make sure that you get it correct. And that way you'll have something to go by to study. Alright, so pause it. For this week are going to be, we can explain the reasons for Americans' involvement in World War II, and we can describe Germany's aggression in Europe and Japanese aggression in Asia. All right. The next learning target is we can explain the reasons for America's involvement in World War II, and we can identify Roosevelt, Stalin, Churchill, Hiroshima, Truman, Mussolini, and Hitler. I'm scared I said that name wrong, but I might have. This is Roosevelt, okay? Of course, he was the president during the Great Depression and through most of World War II. He represents the United States. Then you also have Winston Churchill. He represented England, Great Britain. Then you also have Hitler, who represented Germany. All right. This is also Mussolini. Mussolini represented Italy. I did not put Hiroshima over here. But this is Stalin, and he represents Russia. But you will see Hiroshima, sorry, on the next page, couple of pages. All right, so here we go. So this week we're going to be talking about World War II and the major causes of World War II. You notice right here it says from 1939 to 1945. So this war went on from 1939 to 1945. And it was between, the reason why it's called a world war was because it was between a lot of countries in the world and not just two particular countries. So it involves the whole world. Most of the countries in the world were involved in some kind of way. This war was one of the deadliest war in history because around 70 million people, y'all, 70 million people were killed, which is crazy. Were killed during this time. All right, and I want to underline that because that's really important. 70 million people. 70 million people were killed, and it is one of the deadliest wars in history. And it was a world war. It was a world war. All right, it was a world war. Anyways, World War II was fought between two major powers. The two major powers it was fought between was the Axis power and the Allied power. All right. So for the Allied powers, you had Great Britain, okay, or London, England, the United States. You also had the Soviet Union, and then you also had France for the Allied powers. Okay. Well, the Axis powers involved Germany, okay, Italy, and Japan, and they all fought for the Axis powers. All right, so you have the Allied powers and you have the Axis powers. If you can label each country's flag that was involved with World War II, this would be Japan. I mean, not Japan, sorry, I need to erase that. That would be Germany, so sorry about that. That would be Germany, all right? I really can't write up here really well. I'm trying. All right, so you have Germany. It's probably a bad idea to try to do this. Germany. Then you have Italy. So on your, right now you could be working on this while I'm trying to do this. It's so horrible. Okay. So there's Italy. For some reason that little button keeps popping up. So there's Italy. And then this is Japan. Y'all quit laughing at my handwriting, okay? So this is Japan. All right, and then this would be England, Great Britain. England. Obviously, this would be the United States. All right, this would be the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union is where it split up. Some countries is now called Russia. So it's no longer the Soviet Union. So it did split that up eventually after World War II and later on after past World War II. But I just wanted you to know that nowadays we call this Russia. And their flag is a little bit different than this. But I just wanted you guys to know. All right, but during World War II, it was called Soviet Union. All right, and then this, of course, was France. Right, so there was a lot of countries involved. There was also a lot of smaller countries involved as well, but these were the major powerful countries during this time. So there we go. You guys should already have it written as long as it's taking me to do that. So you have Germany for the Axis powers, Italy, Japan. For the Allied powers, you had England, United States, Soviet Union, and then you also had France. All right, so let's continue on. Now, I want you to be, the standard wants you to be able to identify these people, okay? So the first one, major person that you should know is Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler became the Chancellor of Germany in 1933. All right. Then in 1934, he became the Führer leader, which is another word for a leader. He was a cruel dictator. A dictator is a person who wields absolute power. Okay, so like we have the president of the United States, who has like the Congress, to make sure that the powers are balanced. Well, when a dictator has taken over in a country, he is the only person that has power. Okay, he has the absolute power. He decides what happens, when it happens, and how it happens. Hitler also hated. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. Okay. Hitler also hated Jewish people. Okay. He hated the Jews. He wanted to take control of the whole continent of Europe. That was his plan. That was his goal. That is what he wanted to do. The main thing you need to know about him is that he wanted total control, and he was from Germany. Okay. He wanted total control of the continent of Europe, and he was from Germany. He ruled Germany. All right. Well, then there was this guy from Italy. All right. And this was the flag from Italy during that time. It has changed, and Italy was ruled by Benito Mussolini. Mussolini created a type of government called fascist. Okay. In this type of government, one leader. And, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. There's one leader, and there's one type of party. Like in our government in the United States, like we have a democracy government, and we have multiple candidates we can pick and choose from. And then we also have two major parties, and the Republican and the Democratic. And then there's also the Libertarian. Okay, I had to get something to drink. There's a Libertarian Party, okay? However, when you have the fascist type of government, there's only one leader and one type of party. And this party and this leader have total power. Whereas in the United States, even though there are two different parties, they both still have power because of Congress. There's Republicans and there's Democrats in the Congress. So both powers, and there's Libertarians too. They still have power somewhat. All right, so Mussolini was an inspiration to Adolf Hitler, okay? Adolf Hitler looked to Mussolini because he thought he was a fantastic leader. So that is where Hitler got his leading powers was from Mussolini, because he was inspired by Mussolini. Both were dictators, and they were both fascists as well. All right, so Hirohito, I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, y'all. Hirohito, maybe, was the emperor and ruler of Japan. And he was the ruler from 1926 until 1989, all right? So even after the World War II had taken place, he still stayed ruler of Japan, and that's him right there, okay? No one had ever heard this guy's voice, y'all, until he announced that Japan was going to surrender, and at the end of World War II. Nobody, not even his people, the people that lived in his country, had never heard of his voice until he got on the radio and announced that they were surrendering. Okay, so these are the Axis powers. Now, I'm going to tell you about the Allied powers, alright? So the Allied powers, it begins with Great Britain, and the Prime Minister of Great Britain during most of World War II was Winston Churchill. Okay, now he was not the king, okay, because they have a monarchy over there. He was not the king. He was the prime minister. Prime minister during that time worked with fighting the Germans and leading Britain into battle. His country was the last country fighting with the Germans. Okay, Germans would be over here with Hitler. Okay, and the Axis powers. They were the last people to fight the Germans. He is very known for his famous speeches during World War II. Right, during most of the Great Depression in World War II, President Roosevelt led the United States. All right, so President Roosevelt led the United States through the Great Depression and World War II. After he died in office, there should be a comment right there. By the way, if you don't have it on yours, put it right there. After he died, Harry S. Truman took his place. So at the end of World War II, almost at the end of World War II, Harry Truman decided to take, didn't decide, actually took his place because Roosevelt passed away due to polio. All right, and remember, polio is a disease, okay, that takes away the ability to walk. All right, and President Roosevelt had gotten polio, and before World War II ended, he had passed away. Then Harry S. Truman took his place. We're going to talk about Truman later on because he did a big, huge thing during World War II, and it's very important. So we're going to be talking about that a lot next week. All right, the other person that was on the Allied powers, or other country rather, the one was Joseph Stalin. Stalin was a general secretary of the Communist Party. Okay, a communist is a type of government that relies on collectivization, of labor and good to equal out of the classes. All right, so he led Russia through a terrible battles with Germany, leaving millions dead. Okay, so you really need to know that he was a communist, part of the Communist Party. That's another type of party that we've talked about. And then he led he led Russia, or you would call it the Soviet Union. Remember, I told you it was called the Soviet Union during this time. Then later it was changed to Russia. So those terms, if you hear them used interchangeably, it's referring to the Soviet Union during this time, and then Russia later. And he led Germany through a lot of battles with, let me freeze that again. Blech. He led Russia through terrible battles with Germany, leaving millions of dead. So a lot of people died when they fought each other, Germany and Russia. And this is Russia. Okay, the last one that was on the Allied powers was Charles de Gaulle, and he was leader of the Free French. He led the French resistance movement against Germany. All right, so that's him. This is the guy that was leading France at the time. All right. So let me keep on going. All right. So when was World War II? World War II started in 1939. When Germany invaded the country of Poland in Europe, the war ended in Europe. When Germany surrendered on May 7, 1945, the war in the Pacific ended when Japan surrendered in September 2nd, 1945. This is really important. We're going to be talking a lot about when it ended next week, okay, because there were events that happened for both countries to end the war, or more than both countries. A lot of countries that ended the war. It started in 1939 when Germany began to invade Poland. Okay, they began to invade Poland in Europe. When they began to invade Poland in Europe, that started the brink of World War II. Hitler at this time believed that Germany, or not Hitler, or just by himself, but Hitler and Germany wanted to show that they were great again. So this is what they began to happen. This is what happened. All right. So Germany invaded Poland, and the war did end eventually. Okay, it ended in Europe. It ended in Europe when Germany surrendered on May 7, 1945. However, it was still going on with Japan, okay, because Japan and Germany were big fighters in this war, but it did not end for Japan until September 2nd, 1945. So from May to September, Japan was still fighting in the Pacific, okay, and they were fighting against the United States, whereas Europe was mostly fighting. It was Britain and France mostly fighting Germany. The United States was mostly fighting Japan when this happened, and we're going to talk about that a lot more. Okay, where was World War II? World War II started on the continent of Europe, all right, but it spread throughout the world. However, most of the fighting took place in Europe and in Southeast Asia. And then on this map, what I want you to do is to label Europe and Southeast Asia on the world map. However, I actually put a big world map on here. Well, it's supposed to be here. Okay, never mind. Sorry, it's later. Okay, so right now we'll just label it on this map. And I'm probably going to use like magenta so you can see it. So it started out in Europe. So here's the continent of Europe, all right? So this is where it started, and your map should be labeled for you. It started here, and then it also started in Southeast Asia. So right around here, okay, all right. So there's that, and I want you guys to be able to see that. So it started in Europe, and then it also started in Asia, where it began to, the people there began to start to take over other countries near them. All right, the reason why they were taking over other countries near them is because they needed one country, Japan, needed more land, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. And then we're also going to talk about how Germany was trying to make themselves great again, all right? They wanted to make themselves great again, so they began to take over certain parts of Europe. And the first place they started to invade was Poland, okay? So, all right, so we're going to go to the next page. Okay, so what were the causes of World War II? There were a lot of events in the world going on at the time, which led up into World War II happening. We're going to write in the actual causes of World War II. So the first cause was the Treaty of Versailles, okay? So, and I've told you that before that it was Treaty of Versailles. Now, my handwriting is going to be gosh awful because I'm trying to write on here with a trackpad, and you all know that's hard. So, anyways, so the first blank I want you to put Treaty of Versailles. So go ahead and do that now. While I am doing it. Oh, that's a bad S. Sorry. S-A-I-I-L-L-E-S. Alright. If you can't read my handwriting, just copy it from right up here. Alright, because I know my handwriting is pretty bad. Okay, so the first cause, and then this is going to finish up for today's lesson. We know and have already learned that this treaty ended World War I. And we talked about how it was really unfair because Germany actually took all of the blame for World War I. Well, y'all, because of this, Germany like really took full responsibility for causing all the war, all the damages. They had to disarm. That means they had to give up all their guns. They had to give up land to France, and then they had to pay a huge sum of money or reparations, 132 billion marks, which would have been, y'all, over 5 billion in US dollars today. This treaty left Germany and its economy in ruins. People were starving, and the government was in total chaos. Y'all, people were literally starving. The government was crazy. They were just looking and hoping someone would take responsibility and like step up. Well, when this was going on, Adolf Hitler rose, and he began to talk about making Germany great again. Well, when he began to talk about making Germany great again, y'all, like people started to listen because they were tired of being their economy in ruins, okay? They were tired of starving, and they were tired of the government in total chaos. And I wonder about this, like think about this. How do you think the German people felt towards anyone who signed or agreed to the Treaty of Versailles of 1919? Like, now you know the United States signed their own treaty with Germany because we didn't agree with the Treaty of Versailles of 1919. But how would if you were a citizen of German, if you were a German person during this time, how would you have felt? Like, would you have been angry? How would you have felt? Think about that, how they felt at this time. And that was a spark that led to World War II, is because of how they felt. All right, so today we're going to end here. And you guys are going to go get ready for lunch.